Welcome to the Wise Guys Duo podcast, where Mac and Coach Stu dive into conversations that push the boundaries of wisdom, faith, and culture. The traditional ways have had their time. Now join them in exploring fresh, diverse perspectives on the challenges we encounter every day.
Mac and Stu here, and you're listening to the Wise Guys podcast, where we go rogue as we apply wisdom to the everyday to help us do it just a little better. In this episode, we're going to go rogue and call you to a life of barbarianism. Interesting word, right? A life that puts aside maybe some common sense because God, we just don't want to live a common life. Bottom line, man, it's the core of who we are. And we want to share with you why we are so passionate about cultivating a perspective that goes beyond conforming to the norm and living with your head down. Scary? Yeah, maybe for some of us. It's been scary for Stu and I at times, no doubt. Exciting? Absolutely. Hard? Yeah, that too. But hey, this is what we're all about. So man, Stu, it's time to pop the bubble.
Hey,
brother.
Mac, let's get uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, but I'm comfortable with that.
We feel comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. So this is, and this, I just want right out the gate, Mac, I just want to let everybody know that's listening, this is for all of you, right? Like, don't let the word fool you. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk about what it means to be a barbarian. But yeah, don't let that word fool you. Stick with us. Hey, namaste to all of you beautiful exotic cocktails out there. I've got to say hello to everybody. And Mac, I want to say hello to our new listeners in Norway. Hello, Norway.
Oh,
yes,
Scandinavia.
Welcome.
All right.
Welcome. We love hearing from you as usual. We're always encouraging you to comment on Facebook, on Instagram, email us, send us a note. We love to hear your stories and we love to interact with you most of all. So
yeah,
like I've said before, whenever you contact us, it's Mac and Stu that are contacting you back or reaching out. So,
yep. Yeah, we want to know. We love it. We love the dialogue. You know, we were just hanging on Saturday night, weren't we, man? We were doing the fire pit thing and that kind of conversation. It's just so fun, you know, and so we'd love to have it with you guys as well. Yeah, it's all good stuff. So, yeah, man, I mean, you know, you said it, Stu, that barbarian, kind of an interesting word, right? A lot of times, certainly we don't use it in everyday conversation. And, you know, when you think of it, you might think of the Mongols or you might just think of, you know, the infidels or whatever. But it does maybe have even a little bit more of a male connotation to it. But believe me, we want to encourage every single roguer out there, male, female, doesn't matter, man. You know, that barbarian, an attitude of barbarianism, we want to encourage you all in. And that's what this podcast episode is all about. You know, at its core, barbarian means just someone who is uncivilized. In quite frankly, Stu and I, you could probably say we're uncivilized in many ways, okay? Because we just don't conform to the norm, right? It's just something that it doesn't mean that we aren't have things that we anchor ourselves in, but at the same time, we want to be able to think not like everybody else, not like the herd. And so that's what we really mean by uncivilized, because it's a path. Being a barbarian, I don't know, if we can codify it or if we can kind of define it even just a little bit, we might look at it as a path filled with adventure, uncertainty, and I don't know, maybe some unlimited possibilities. Just go on out there with it. You know, but again, we got to stop conforming and start on a path of transforming. And when there's the shift, just get away from that box, get away from that same old. And that's the encouragement we're going to give you tonight.
Mac, I can think of two people in history that I would call barbarian. One is William Wallace. If anybody's ever seen the movie Braveheart or read his story, he was called a barbarian by the English. Rightly so. But he was fighting for freedom and for his country, and he was doing it in a way that they have never experienced before. Here's another one, because I could talk all day about William Wallace. Here's another one.
Right.
Joan of Arc.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean,
you're right. I thought the same thing before you even said it.
I mean, come on. I mean, transforming what was going on at that time, at that moment.
I love it.
She comes to mind because I was actually born in Orléans, France, and that's where their statue of Joan of Arc is. So a lot of times she's at like top of mind for me as just an amazing historical figure.
Well, you just inspired me, man. Okay. I think next week on the podcast, I'm going to paint half my face blue. Okay. I'm going to get in it. I'm going to just get in character.
I love it.
Thank you.
That'll be fun.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the other thing that I do too. You know this because I showed it to you, but I bought not long ago, I bought one of the Lord of the Rings One Ring.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I'll wear it sometimes as a thumb ring. If that is
those kinds of things to me, I mean, this is fun, obviously, Mac, but those things to me are reminders, right? Like you give yourself reminders of maybe, the way you want to be. Now, I don't know that we can walk around with half our face blue all the time, but I mean, we're just the guys to do it.
Don't go,
I think I want to wear that chainmail that Joan of Arc had on when she was in battle. Yeah.
Oh gosh, but I think you make a good point that we do need reminders. We need little things that stimulate us and remind us, and so that's a great point. As we're going through this episode, maybe some of the stuff will come to your mind, gang. That you can just begin to adopt just as little reminders. So that's a cool thing. I love that.
So Mac, let's do this. We're going to discuss a little bit later on, how do you become one of these people, a barbarian, right? But first, let's talk about some of the traits of being a barbarian. And a lot of these are expressed in our manifesto points and also in the Mac Nuggets as well. So let's talk about that.
Right. Yeah.
Let's
laced with them.
Let's start with this.
Let's do it. Let's wait.
Going rogue in pursuit of wisdom. Like that's us.
That's us.
And here's some examples from my life. Books I've read, right? I mean, and there's a big long list of books that have changed my life and helped to transform who I am. Seminars I participated in with, various people, obviously. Coaching certainly has allowed me to pursue some wisdom there. Serving people, leading groups, like all of these things are examples of ways, you can kind of go rogue and not do I don't even know what would it be like to not go rogue in pursuit of wisdom. I don't even know if I could describe that. Like this is
yeah, right. Yeah. Does it exist? Here's what it says to me. Here's the way I would say yes. That if you pursue wisdom with a checklist, here's how to be wise. Here's the 5 points. Here's how to gain wisdom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check. Okay. That, right. That's not roguish enough for me anyway. I mean, I guess if it works for you out there, okay, but no. I got to have the mystery laced in there way more than the bullet points, So that's who we all are. And, one of our latest little memes that I did not long ago, it says this. It's a picture of a woman kind of elevated, and she's got some wings behind her, and it says, grow a pair, a little larger. Now, for ladies out there, I want you to picture maybe some wings. Grow some wings a little bit bigger and soar a little bit more and stuff like that. Guys, I'm just going to leave it to your imagination of what you need to grow a pair a little bit bigger. All right. Because it takes some moxie, man, to get out there and kind of do some of the stuff. But here's a heads up. All right. Especially if you grow some bigger wings. And that's for guys and gals too, for sure. You're just going to start knocking some shit over. Oh, yeah. I'm just telling you. Okay. And that's going to be good. That's going to be good. And when I did that, here's what I kind of thought of. I pictured something like that in my mind. Think about a guy or a gal, doesn't matter. Think about a person that you're on a crowded bus, right? The bus is full and people are standing. Maybe you're going to the airport, like shuttle bus, all that kind of stuff. And somebody gets on with this big old backpack, right? And they're just they're just worming their way in, and it's just kind of like that. It's just they're bigger than themselves, and they're going to start bumping and knocking stuff. But hey, that's what it's going to take here, folks. This is the barbarian part,
that.
Right? This is a barbarian. Go put the backpack on or grow the wing.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah,
that's awesome. So there was another one that another Mac Nugget you put out there that went something like this: set your sparks loose to ignite the lives of others. And it's about living your life with your heart and eyes wide open. So when I think about this, Mac, I think about like, this is your passions, right? Like that's setting your sparks loose. It's like only you can be you, right? And that passion, just when you put that out there, it really does ignite the lives of others because it's your passion, right? I mean,
yeah.
And you
Yeah. And here's the other thing we were talking about earlier. You can't be afraid that some of those sparks might singe a little bit too, because sometimes they're uncomfortable. Sometimes we're all being called to something bigger and greater. And you know what? That burns a little sometimes, but it's in love and it's encouraging. And I love that, man. Yeah, without a doubt. That's good. It's this idea when you just said it, the passion. When you live with a passion, when you ignite others. We've said this in some of our one of our manifesto points that you're living with a lean in countenance in life for the get to, not the have to, or the must do, or whatever it is. You're leaning into it all for the get to. Man, oh man, look what I get to do. And you and I have lived so many different experiences together, and we've gotten to do just so much cool stuff, and it's so good. But why? Why do we get to do that? Why? Because we leaned in. Because we raised our hand and said, "Put us in the game, coach." Right?
I'll do that. How many times have we said that? Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'll think about that for a millisecond. Okay, I'm in.
I mean, why not? Right?
Done.
Why not?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Well, some people, if I could transition into the next one, some people might be in a little bit of fear, and so this next one kind of talks about that a little bit. Don't stay faithful to the person you used to be, right? And here's a great example of this.
Yeah.
There are things we learned as a child, and we were taught and we experienced. And if you never explored those same things as an adult, in your adulthood, you have the perspective of you as a child. Right? So if you stay faithful to that person that you used to be, it may be all the way back to when I was 5 years old. And here's another great example, Matt.
Yeah.
Religion, right? I mean, what some of us were taught what religion was, who God was, etc., as a child, and you never re-explored that as an adult. So you have the understanding of religion or spirituality or faith that is from when you were a child, and that's it. You never. It's
not an adult faith.
So,
yeah, no, perfect. Yeah, no, I think man. Because why would we want to do that? Because it's comfortable. Because it's known, because of what we've always done. It's that safe space. And here's the thing about that comment too, Stu, that's when you start to adopt some of this stuff that we're talking about, when you start to become a barbarian, when you start to go rogue, when you just put your toe in the water, when you just lean in even a little bit, it's going to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
It will. We guarantee that. And if you're not careful, you're going to scurry back to that person you used to be because, again, it was comfortable and known, and it might not have been adventurous, and it might not have been roguish, and it might not have been out there and, and radically amazing. But, man, it's my old shirt that I've had for 20 years, that I just love to wear, my slippers. So you just got to be careful. It's so easy to fall back into that. But you have to get used to different. We talks about this all the time. You need to get comfortable, as Stu said in the beginning, with being uncomfortable. Here's something maybe that to consider. It's another meme that we put out just a little bit ago. I'm just going to challenge you right now, Rogers. We're going to challenge. Here it is. What's the next great question in caps that you need to ask yourself? What's the biggie? Not what am I going to have for breakfast in the morning or dinner tomorrow night, all right? No. We're talking about elevate this biggie question. And we all have circumstances in our life that a biggie fits into whatever, relatively. Could be a relationship, could be a job, could be your faith, could be, lots of stuff that's big. But maybe you've never asked it directly of yourself. Look in the bathroom mirror, go in there, shut the door, and ask the question maybe that you've been afraid to ask up to this point.
I'll add one comment to this, Mac. Before you ask that question, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay.
Strap in.
Because, right, yeah, not only strap in, but there could be fear around it. Here's the thing: as soon as you said that, ask the big question.
You're right.
I'll bet 9 out of 10 people out there know what it is. Right now, it's in their head, and they're either
you're right.
They're either
moving
around and just feeling squirming, or they're like, nope, they're putting the blinders on, saying, I don't want that question. So just I mean, if you want to develop traits of a barbarian, you might just want to try it on and see what happens, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Take a risk. Another trait of a barbarian is taking a risk. We talked about passion, right? Take a risk and see what happens. Right?
I totally get it. There it is. Yeah. No doubt about it.
So how about this one, Mac? Another barbarian trait is to go beyond what happens or what happened to what really matters. I mean,
that's a huge shift right there, man. That's willing. Oh God, I just love that, because on the one side you're a victim.
Yeah.
You're always living in that what happened to me. And the other one says, no, let me use some discernment, let me use some wisdom, to discern what really matters. Let's get to the heart of the matter. And that just takes that this doesn't happen.
Well, the most common place to look at this is in your relationships with the spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, colleague.
Sure.
You name it. I mean, that.
Right. And no, you're right. And in it all, everything that we're already talking about, and we'll talk about some more here, is you got to shed the routine, whatever your routine is. And we're not saying your routine is bad. Don't get us wrong. But what your routine is constricting, because it will keep you in your routine if you let it. That's exactly. I mean, how about looking at it as like, instead of my routine, I'm going on mission, man. I mean, I got a mission. I'm on the hunt. I'm pursuing life in a way different way. I'm on mission. Just kind of, again, there's a little shift in the thinking. That sounds
exciting.
Right? You got to change your perspective. Yeah. Well, exactly. You got to be willing to change. If you were going to become a barbarian, if you're going to kind of call yourself one, even if it's not to anybody but yourself, right? You got to change your perspective. It's required. It's like just 101 here. You got to be open to and seek new ideas.
Right.
It's part of the deal. I was chatting with a friend of mine the other day, and she I was just asking her, I hadn't talked to her in a while, and I just asked her, I said, how you doing? How you feeling? What's going on? We haven't chatted in a while. And her comment to me was, Larry, I just got pain. I got some physical pain. I've gone and I've tried, and the doctors and this and that, and it ain't working. And to be quite frank, she was kidding as she said this. She goes, I'm just about ready to go to the palm reader on the corner, that kind of thing. I mean, with a little chuckle and, with it all. And I said, you know what, let me give you a suggestion. And we've talked about our healer, about Alan, about, that whole thing, that how he's affect my life, he's affect Stu's life. And I just introduced, quote, her to him, not personally, but to the idea of him and who he was and all of that. And you know what? She called me back and she says, I got an appointment with him.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And there you go, Rogers. There's thinking outside. There's a barbarian thought, because that's an uncivilized thought for her. She's never done anything like that before in her whole life. And there it is. And I can't wait to hear the stories. Can't wait to hear the stories, right? Because when we go barbarian-ish, we go roguish, we've got to understand that there's almost always a viable alternative to the way that we look at stuff.
Yes.
We might not want to admit that. We might not want to think, but we don't have a lock on our truth and our perspective and exactly the way it is. And that's a barbarian thought for a lot of people, to shift their idea of what's true and what's not, or what might be viable and what might not be. You don't have to agree with other people and their point of view necessarily, but agreeing with or just acknowledging that might not be viable, those can be two different things.
Right.
But that takes some roguishness.
So I love what you're doing right now, Mac. We're getting into how to become a barbarian, but we're really like getting specific now, which is good, because I think that's what I would want. I'd want to hear that. What do we need to do?
Right. How do we do it?
I've already said this, but let me say it again. Risk it. Try something new and abandon yourself to the journey. Right. I mean, and this comes from a movie, but there's a small phrase that I say to myself all the time when I think about taking a risk and just abandoning myself to the journey. It's this: let go, give in, and take the journey.
Yeah. Just it's a submission in some ways. It's just a relinquishing. But man, we've talked about this on previous episodes. Let go what needs to go, and let come what needs to come. And this is all part of the same flow. I mean, it all goes together. None of our episodes stand apart and unique to any of the others, because it's all part of the holistic us, the exotic cocktail-ishness of us, right? But again, we've got to dare. Here it is. Dare yourself to think a new thought. And here's the magnitude I'm talking about right now. Here's the magnitude of what Stu and I are talking about. Again, it's not just, well, you know what? I think we'll go over there for dinner tonight because we've never been there before. Okay, that's a new thought, but that's not what we're talking about. I want you to dare so greatly. That's a Brene Brown thing right there, right? For any of you Brene Brown fans, all right? I want you to dare so greatly that literally you're going to scare yourself that you're going to wet your pants. That's how big I want it to be. I want you to scare yourself literally with a thought that is so much greater, because then I think you're onto something. Then I think you just might be in the right path, and it might be of significant enough to give your energies, to give your efforts, all the stuff that we're already been talking about, that just, whoa. It's one of those whoa things.
Well, the point is that you're going to know when this happens. That's the point. You're going to feel it in some way.
Yes, there's going to be a cosmic shift here. Make it big. Go big, man. Come on. All right.
Now here's something, Matt, so that I love to do. And this really is exciting and fun for me when I think about what the things I would want to do to become a barbarian. And it would be to do these things with like-minded people. And, I talked about earlier on about participating in seminars and coaching and leading groups. And those are all, for me, there were like-minded people in all of those situations to me. and to each other in those groups.
Sure.
And it was that, that's exciting, because when you get all that passion in one room, look out, it's going to explode into a lot of sparks. What are we talking about? Set those sparks loose, man. They'll ignite the people around you, and it'll spill over. I mean, it's.
Well, there's a huge difference between a barbarian and a barbarian horde.
Oh, yes.
Right? Much more effective if you're faced with a barbarian horde.
Russell Crowe proved this in Gladiator. When it was a group of them, they were much more powerful than just him, just the one.
Well, that's right. And who's got who's back? Right? That's that whole thing. I mean, again, it becomes the collective. Now, we'll make one statement here that absolutely you need the like-mindeds as a core, because believe me, this is not solo effort stuff. It really isn't. You have to come to grips with stuff on your own. Yes, you do. The bathroom mirror all by yourself, ask the question. But once you've been willing to do that, without a doubt, our encouragement to you is to now go tell somebody you asked yourself the question. There's just so much more power. And then here's what starts to happen. Here's the mission, gang. When you do this together, then your eyes turn outward. And now you've got the core, you've got the strength, you've got the encouragement to go and be now with people that aren't like-minded, that aren't like you right now. There's a barbarian thought about the they, that you're going to change some of your thinking and perspective about them, whoever them is. But the ones that aren't like you, there's a roguish thought if there ever was one. But that's the kind of thought, that's the kind of pursuit, that's the kind of perspective that's going to change the world.
I mean, how many people, Matt, can feel comfortable around people that don't think the same way they do?
Right. I mean, we're back to that same old comfort zone stuff right there. It's not easy. We'll tell you that it's not easy because we've been there many, many times, but it's always so beautiful. We've gone down and done stuff at the Atlanta Mission. We've done stuff at Sober Living Atlanta. We've done stuff with people that really, quite frankly, aren't like us. And yet at the same time, there is a commonality that we've bonded with those people because at the core, we are a lot.
Oh, yeah.
We really are. We're not as much different of them as we think we are.
Can always find connections, for sure. Well, you're talking about shifting from me, thinking about me to thinking about we, thinking about us. I mean, you're all over this.
Oh, yes. Yes.
This thought.
Yep.
Right.
And that, again, that's a roguish barbarian kind of thought. That's off the reservation there, man. Because we grow up, we think first and foremost about who? Us, me. We're narcissistic so much that it just, the world, look around. No kidding, right? But sometimes, what picture do you have when you think about William Wallace? What do you think? What's he look like? Not only has he got half a blue face, right? But he's got a sword in his hand. Right? Fight for freedom. And sometimes this is
and not just for him. Like it's not for his personal freedom. It's for his country. He talked nonstop about fighting for the freedom of his people, of his country. Fighting, another way you could look at this when you shift from the me to we is like fighting for the heart of humanity. Right?
Oh, yeah. See, you want to go on mission? You think that's a mission big enough right there? Right? There's a great calling right there. You think about that.
Now something that he had and that I have, and I know you have, Mac, is, a higher power or a greater power is involved. So we seek a greater power to accomplish these things that may be far beyond our own capacity. I mean, I don't claim to know it all and have experienced it all, right? So I look to this. I look to the higher, to the greater power, a higher power. For me, it's God. To be directed by that power and to be shown things that I may never have noticed if I wasn't paying attention to my higher power. Right?
Oh, so true. So. Yeah, well, we live there. You that. I mean, we've said it many times that the last thing I want my life to be is bounded by what I can figure out. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, then it's finite. Then it's finite to Mac's ability to be able to comprehend life. Well, guess what? I know I fall far short on that scheme. And so, okay, I'm turning it over to the revelations far greater than what I can figure out. There's no doubt. Because again, you have to learn to say, no sometimes. I mean, you just got to say no. No, I'm not thinking that way anymore. No, I'm not doing that anymore, because it doesn't necessarily need to be bad. But what you really need to start to see, because we've done this very same thing, is look at it in some ways as lesser, and you're making room for greater. It's not some of it can be bad, of course, but in general, I think most of us out there could just put down or put aside some of the lesser things to make room for greater, a little bit better. We talk about that all the time, don't we? We got to just shift our priorities a little bit away from the mundane, the okay, the I'm fine, to something greater. To something more exciting, more, amazing. We call it radically amazing. A lot of times we use that terminology. But what else can you look for if you don't make these priority shifts?
I'm having an insight like in this moment, Mac. So be careful. Things might explode here in just a second. Wow. Yeah, here we go. So earlier on in our conversation, we talked about not staying faithful to the person we used to be. But how about these things, mm-hmm. these lesser things you're talking about, staying faithful to them instead of just, thanking them? You know me, I'm always about gratitude, right? Thank them, and you were there when I needed you. You can move aside. Let's bring these greater things in, right?
Well, absolutely. And in doing that, and however you want to measure it. Now, when we say greater, lesser, bigger, smaller, everything's relative, sure. And we understand a lot of these things. How do you measure them, right? But I do think we can grasp the idea that we can give ourselves and our life greater meaning. We can get that. Wherever you're at right now, I think you can conceptualize something greater, something bigger, something broader, something more exciting, something more meaningful. But in order to let that in, again, civilized, barbarian, civilized, domestication, that's kind of similar word. We've sort of got to get rid of this idea of being domesticated, to where our biases, our comforts, all of those things just keep us in this place of okay.
Right.
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. All right. Well, good. I guess for me, Stu, I think for you too, I certainly have times in my life when I'm okay, and I'm okay with okay.
Right.
But I think, again, another one of our McNuggets is just don't hang out there too long. Just don't hang out at okay too long, right? Don't overstay your visits. It needs to come to an end. Okay, at some point, we're encouraging you to is not being good enough anymore. That it's time to move on. So move past it. And, we've done this. Stu and I have done this. We've shared with you guys some of our experiences in this thing called Starting Point. Stu's alluded to it before, but it has a faith-based thing that we took on to expand not only our own thinking about faith and God and doctrine and theology and all of those kinds of things based upon our faith, and we shared it with others and helped them. and stimulated our own thinking in that. That's been a great way. But we had to put our hand up and say, put us in the game. We're willing. Yep. That's how Stu and I met years and years and years ago. But we got to be willing to go there. Even last year, before the pandemic hit, before all the shutdown, before all of it, we were contemplating and we were visioning and we were looking at maybe doing this thing that we called church on the other side. Mm-hmm. We were stepping out. We were, and I don't know where it's going to go at this point once things kind of get cranked back up, but we were willing to step outside of our comfort zone because we'd gotten this ache. And we're going to talk about this in the Mystic McNugget. We'd gotten this ache that just said the domesticated norm of what we've been experiencing to this point, it just ain't good enough, gang. It just, no. We said no. What can we do? What's it look like? Let's whiteboard it, man. And we started that journey and it was getting to be so fun. And I don't know where we're going to go with it here, but we're just giving an example of some of the stuff from our own lives, that swirl in and out of our, stuff all the time. And we're always got our antennas up. We're always trying to figure out what's next. Okay, come on.
Right.
What's next, man? Right. Let's go. But we do it together. And again, that's the cool thing because we don't want to be out there Lone Ranger in it. No way. So, it's good stuff. It's been a good journey, for us without a doubt.
Yeah. I cherish those experiences and I encourage everybody listening, all you roguers out there to, you probably have these, make some more, make some more of these experiences.
Yeah.
Right. Take a risk.
Yeah.
Explore your passions.
Do it.
Maybe sacrifice a little. Nothing wrong with that. Not a bad word, right? So people look at it like that, but it's not. Like let's go, right? Let's just go.
Well, and you get the serendipities. We were talking about this Saturday night together, and we were talking about this experience that Stu and I had down at the Atlanta Mission. And these guys are homeless, right? And you've heard my stories about how passionate I am about Habitat for Humanity. We took these homeless guys to Habitat for Humanity to build a house for somebody.
It's one of my favorite stories of all time. Homeless people building a home like for somebody else, and they don't even have a place to live themselves. Yeah. That was amazing to witness.
Yeah. It was just so cool. And they loved it because they were giving themselves away. That was just amazing, regardless of their plight, regardless of their saga. And they had stories. They had stories that you probably can't even imagine. We couldn't until we heard them the first time. I didn't have any experience like that. But I'm telling you, there's one of those things where you got to go bigger. Go roguish. You got to go. I
was just going to say, Mac, what they were doing is they were going rogue in their own pursuit of wisdom.
Yeah. It's so cool to see how this starts to unravel if you'll just let it. Just get in the game, man, and stuff just starts to happen that you can't possibly program out. It just doesn't work that way. So it's just do it, man. Just do it, gang. That's our encouragement. Oh, yeah. That's what we're all about tonight in this episode.
All right, Mac, you teased us with your Mystic McNugget. We got to hear that Mystic McNugget now.
Yes, I did. All right, so we're kind of winding down, and here we come. Here comes the Mystic McNugget. We're gonna sprinkle the stardust a little bit. Not that it wasn't sprinkled in all the stuff previously, because it's always there. It's always the more than. We always approach life from a more than. I don't care if it's 5 items on a checklist, but we know it's more than. And here's the thing about being barbarian and going rogue, that you need to cultivate soul aches. It needs to ache in your soul, deep down, deep in there. Let it get in. Let it just transform you and let it sometimes almost wreck your life. It probably will to a certain extent. But then you're onto something, just like the other thing we talked about. And here's the thing. When you have a soul ache, when it gets in there and you're just like, whoa, don't look to heal it. That's not at all the point. That's an ache that you run with, man. that's something that you take and you run with to see where it takes you in the collective. It takes all of you. It takes you and your horde. It takes it just, oh my goodness. You know, again, I picture William Wallace and those guys, swords raised, and they're running across that battlefield full tilt. You know, I mean, they were aching in their soul and they were just running with it, man, because that's what was motivating them. That's what was very passionate about. You use that word already, Stu. So that's the Mystic Mac Nugget. Cultivate soul aches. You don't heal these. You run with them. So I loved running with you this week, Stu. It's good, brother.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Agreed. So I don't know. I think there's going to be a bunch of newly birthed barbarians out there. I want to hear from them. I want to hear these stories.
Yeah, I do too.
These are exciting.
Yeah, you know,
right? The story.
Yep, because when they think you've lost your mind, you're onto something, gang. Okay, you just found it. Yep. So let they wag their tongues, right? So it's good. Thanks, Rogers. We love having you part of the conversation. We always love to see if you get something out of it. It helps you do it just a little bit better. And thanks a bunch for listening in.
All right. Take care, everybody.